The In It Together with Lynn Greene talk show is a positive way to start your day. Ready for some encouragement?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's let the healing begin.
Come be inspired, hear moving stories, even laugh out loud.
Can't make heads or tail of what I'm saying.
Just incomprehensible.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You'll hear real people doing real things to make a real impact.
You are heroes every day.
Hear honest, compassionate, engaging issues you care about.
You see people come together to do good in our community, and the more we come together, the more good we can do.
Listen in and get started on redesigning your life and hear what's positive in Greater Manchester. Here's your happy host, Lynn Greene.
Good morning, friends in Greater Manchester. Welcome to In It Together. I'm so glad that you're tuned in. If you'd like to find me on the web, you can go to inittogether.net and listen live or to previous shows. Even link to my Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn. And if you like and follow us, you will see that we are bringing out the best in people to influence positive change in this community and beyond. Today is The Good Life with yours truly. And I will be talking about discovering your unique creativity this morning. And so you don't want to miss this. We'll be back right after this brief message. Stay tuned.
Mark Major knows that great coaches need constant training to be effective. As a certified coach, teacher, and speaker with the John Maxwell team, Mark can help you identify and activate your personal and professional goals. If you seek to do more and be more, look up Mark on the web at johnmaxwellgroup.com/MARC Major. Or call 603-674-6818. Mark Major, growing leaders and adding value. CrossNet Inc. offers computer and IT services for commercial clients as well as local personal users. We create tailor-made plans for your business's unique needs, from computer repairs to managing networks, servers, and desktops. CrossNet Inc. offers managed services, data backups, virus protection, web filtering, and more. For more information, go to crossnetinc.com or call for your personalized IT services today at 603-589-2520. CrossNet Inc. IT services that keep your business running when you're on the run.
Welcome back to In It Together, kicking off The Good Life this morning. And so what is the good life? We actually talked about that a couple of weeks ago, that the good life is possible. And so a lot of the topics we talk about on this program have something to do with, well, first off, helping people understand what the good life is. And it's really not just about making a living, but making the life that you were designed to live. And when I say that, what you were created to live. Today we're talking about discovering your unique creativity, which is something that you're born having certain gifts and talents and things that you have tendencies towards. So each week I like to share from not only personal successes that I've had, but from helping different clients and people in my life. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to someone or met with a client who didn't think they were creative. So there's, part of the reason for this, I think, is that a lot of people think that to be creative, you have to be someone that can paint or can draw or something to do with music or something like that. But there's so much more to creativity than that. And so I'm hoping today to unfold this a little bit. So right now, I want to welcome those of you listening via internet radio and those of you who are on live stream. And I want to invite you into the conversation with me. As a matter of fact, these shows go better with interaction from people because it really helps me to connect with you better, to relate with where you are, some of the things that you have, that you're that you have for creative juices, I guess. And like we said before, creativity isn't just about someone who can draw or paint or whatever. creativity can show up in so many different ways. And I'm hoping to be able to engage you with that this morning. As a matter of fact, I believe creativity is necessary for us to be successful in this life, period, to be successful with problem solving, with being part of the solution instead of the problem. As I was saying before, so many times I talk to people and they don't think that they're creative. As a matter of fact, what comes to mind is a client that I had about 4 or 5 years ago who actually was musical in some ways, but also had, other things that they enjoyed doing, working with their hands and just working with the elderly, just different things that they enjoyed. And as she was sitting across the table from me, I remember mentioning to her that how we tap into our true identity or who we are at our core authentically and live from that rather than trying to be something that doesn't really match who we are as a person. And I'm not talking just about personality. I'm talking about some of the innate things that we're born with. We have kind of like a nature that we were born with. And then even more so if you are a believer and you have come to know God and born again, that becomes a whole other story where now you're awakened to a deeper, more spiritual level of who you are and be able to live from that. So when I say the good life isn't about making a living, in that it's about making the life that you want and that you were designed to make, I'm talking about why you were created. And we have so many options. And I think that's one of the biggest thing I want to say today is to discover your unique creativity in any and all circumstances and situations is to be able to think beyond what you're currently experiencing or what you're currently in, to be able to do something better, higher, different. And a lot of people don't really know that. So let's see. I just kind of looking at the stream here this morning. Okay, well, someone just told me to take a breath. All right, I'm not sure what that means. But good morning to you. And thank you to the comments, the kind comments that are there. I appreciate those of you who are watching. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Mark. And so please interact, because I really do want to hear, how you process this, okay? If you're alive, this is what I like to tell you. If you're alive, you have creativity in you. And it really just comes down to the fact that God created everything that is. And we are part of his creation. But he said about us, more than anything else he ever created, that we were made in his image and his likeness. And so that means, as he started, he would get a vision for, I just started going through the Bible again recently. And I always see it at another level. As you grow and you mature, you see things differently. And so I was going through the book of Genesis, and what I saw unfolding there was he didn't just start talking and create something. He thought about it, he pondered it, he talked about it, he goes, oh, we're going to make this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this, and then he did it. And so, part of that creativity is, what are we thinking about and what are we telling ourselves about whatever it is we're trying to make better. And so creativity is not just about being artistic, being able to draw or paint. Although I learned about my creativity because I can draw, because I can paint, because I'm musical. It helped me to envision, like I did songwriting years ago. I wrote a couple of CDs back in 2002 and 2007. And part of the process of that creativity was I was going through some very serious health issues, a congenital heart condition. And I died like 21 times, and I had like a pacemaker and a lot of fear. And so almost like David in the Psalms, I used to, write songs and play music to comfort my own soul about things. And a lot of times those would be written in a place where I was in the midst of kind of anxiety or pain or whatever, but I would get to a place where I would surrender all that for something better. and I would start to read what God said about me and that, and then I would sing about those things. And then, so that taught me that there's a deeper connection that we can make with the source, the creator himself, at a spiritual level that can now help us to do the same thing in other areas of our life. So it's not just about drawing and stuff. Let's just say this. If you've ever troubleshooted a problem in your life, something that you have never seen, something that you wanted to accomplish, and it's the first time you looked at it. I remember my husband and I, we bought our home 22 years ago, and it needed to be renovated. So much needed to be done, and of course we couldn't hire someone to do all of the work, so we would do it. We did our due diligence. We imagined what it could look like, what we wanted it to look like, and then we would go out and we find great deals. I'll just tell you one thing that we did was we envisioned, okay, well, we want a tile floor in the dining room and the kitchen. The person before us, Lord have mercy, put green carpeting in there. I haven't, this is the difference between tapping into limited creativity and tapping into God creativity, okay? So this had green carpet throughout, and maybe that's all they could afford at the time. I don't know. But when we moved in, that and the green frog wallpaper had to go. It was below my vision, below my thinking of what was possible for me. And so creativity, you have to have that possibility thinking. So we envisioned how the house would look, what we wanted, and we knew we wanted a tile floor. So because we already knew that, because we had already meditated on that and thought about it and realized, what we wanted, then, we were out and about. We weren't really looking for that at one point, but we came across some tiles that I think we were at one of the home stores, and we came across some tiles in the clearance area. We knew how much we needed because we had already measured it out, and we saw it, and it was like 80% off, ridiculously low. And we bought it in faith, thinking, okay, well, we've never done a tile floor before. So just because you've never done something before doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you have to tap into that or discover the creativity to be able to envision what's possible. And then once you get that, that vision there, now you can begin to plan it out in steps and begin to do it. So we were able to do the floor, but that's just one example of many things we did, in our house. But I'm just giving you an example of how creativity can be in a lot of ways. So one thing that I was thinking yesterday, I was writing these notes, was let's see. It's really it is our perspective. If we have a limited imagination or limited thinking, we're only going to be able to accomplish or walk in or have success to the level of how we think about something. So our perspective, and we talked about that earlier this week. But you can use your creativity in business. As a mom, I mean, I was home for 18 years with my 4 children growing up, and let me tell you, you have to be really creative to keep kids entertained, to get them to be wonderful human beings and not complain. And you have to. I had to be creative on how do I get the kids to do the right thing. Like, every weekend we're supposed to clean our room or whatever we're supposed to do. How do I get them to do the right thing and make it so that it's not hard, but that they want to do it? Because, nobody wants to do anything that feels hard. I know life is like that and things get hard at times. But when we talk about creativity, I get really creative. It's like, you know what? If we're going to do something, why not enjoy doing it? Because we have to do it anyway. Instead of thinking about it as I have to do it, the creative mind would say, I get to do it. And now I get to decide how and enjoy it the way that it fits who I am. And I think a lot of people are missing this aspect of their life, so they go through gruelingly getting things done, checking off a to-do list, and the only way they feel of value and is if they complete that. But if they don't, they feel like it's personal, and we can't make it personal, not that way. So you can have creativity in business, innovation, invention. In the businesses that I have, I've had to get really creative as far as how to reach people, how to engage different people, but also, in the process of that is understanding that you're not going to always be able to do everything by yourself. And so part of that can be, bringing other people into it. I just love collaboration. I mean, if you've ever done something with somebody and you both just feel so good about it, you high five, and you feel like, wow, we really did something, and we couldn't have done it without each other. I'll tell you, when you have two people with creativity, focused on the positive and what can happen, and they get creative, that's great. But if one of those people gets negative, and it can really stifle that creativity. And that's why sometimes a lot of successful people are really kind of loners, because it's hard to find somebody to match that level of possibility thinking, innovation, and creativity that we have. So looking at there was some things I was reading. Where is it? Okay, well, I'll just stay in the order of what I'm doing here. But we got to realize, think about let's engage a little bit if you want to engage with me here on live stream. Think about a project that you're trying to do, what you would like to do. Think about something that you have done, you've accomplished, like I was talking about doing a little renovation in my room, or maybe you're a gardener, or maybe you're, you run a daycare, or you're, you work with children, or, it doesn't really matter what you do. Maybe you're a business person, you're an entrepreneur like me. There's always creativity flowing. I have a big whiteboard in my office down the hallway that's the length of an entire wall, where I can brainstorm and put up ideas and things. Just because you put up ideas and stuff doesn't mean you have to do them all. But I think if we start off, in order to unleash your creativity, what you need to do is take off the limits. Take off, or what I say, think outside of the box. You can't be creative in a box. You can't be creative if you're limited to your thinking or anybody else's thinking. And that's something that you got to guard in your own life, is where people will impose upon you what they think or how they think things should go, without taking into consideration who you are and maybe the way that you prefer to do it. We've heard that saying that says there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I'll just say there's a lot of different ways to do the same thing. What's important is the end result, that not only you're happy with the end result, but you're also happy with the process, the journey, and how you came to that. The whole thing should be satisfying. That's why I said it's not something that we have to do so that one day, once we're done, we'll be happy. No, we got to be happy now, and then we'll be able to do creative and great things. And I think sometimes people get that confused. I'm going to look at a little bit of the comments here. Well, good morning. I can see all these wonderful people on here that I'm so happy that you're tuning in. Okay, well, the person told me that told me originally to take a breath. He said that I seemed like I was in a rush. Well, I appreciate that feedback, actually. I'm not offended by it at all. I actually welcome, if something isn't working for you, I appreciate that you told me to slow down. I'm okay with that. For somebody who's driven like I am, this is definitely something that I've had to learn. And I have moments of, going too fast. But I'll tell you, I am better than I used to be. But that's okay. Your comment is welcome anyway. So someone else says here that everything that has been created twice. First in the mind and then in the physical realm. So true. We are never going to experience, live, or be able to create beyond what we can imagine, what we think. And for me, I believe that the creativity for me, when we talk about coming at a spiritual level, is from the Creator, like I said, and that's where the the Word of God talks about, for those who are led of the Spirit of God, those are the sons of God. And so we got to understand we have a purpose to fulfill in the earth, and that is to be who we are, fully alive, creating and contributing and giving from who God has made us. But we have to first discover that. And that's why the title for this was Discovering Your Unique Creativity. I mean, I could have said we're going to be talking about creativity. I could have said we're going to, discover your genius, or asked you what your genius is. But I feel like the wording is exactly what I want. Your creativity has to be discovered because it's not like anybody else. And so a lot of times people trying to solve problems and accomplish things, we've heard all the gurus out there tell you, well, if you want to be successful in something, go and learn from someone who's already done it before. I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just not fully true. Okay? Partially that is true. But the way that, and I do that, I will find somebody who's done some things I've done before, and then I'll think about it as it relates to how it fits who I am as a person, what my options are. I want to know what my options are because I want to decide how I'm going to proceed with it. And when someone tries to impose on you how they think it should be done, my way or the highway, and you're just an idiot if you don't do it the way I think you should do it, that's just ridiculous. I believe that you can do a lot. And so that's what I've always done. I've always taken from people who are wise in certain areas. I value and respect what they have to offer me, and I take all of the pieces and then I begin to fit it in my vision. And then what doesn't fit doesn't go in, but what does fit I keep, and then I find the other things that I feel go in there better. So I'm not going to I'll just say this. I started on radio, 2014, and I started on a radio station, a local radio station, and probably almost right at the same time on an internet radio station, Voice America Variety Channel. And so both of those showed me different ways that people listen, different ways that radio, how radio works, how a time clock works. How all the other stuff. And so actually I got to take a break, but listen, I'm going to tell you, when we come back, I'm going to tell you how my creativity worked when I was developing my own way of doing radio. But we're going to take a short break, and I really need to play these, because I need you to consider supporting those who support us, so that we can continue to be on the air, to bring value, to be a blessing, and encourage, inspire, and motivate people to do good, to do great things. All right, so we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen, located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780.
Hi, I'm Lynn Greene, Advancement Strategist and owner of AlphaAdvancementStrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
Hi, I'm Mark Major, certified coach and speaker. Join me Wednesdays at 9 a.m. for It's a Wonderful Life, all about leadership development and living a positive lifestyle. Only on In It Together with Lynn Greene.
Hi, I'm Jen Lever, anchor of the Recovery Now segments. Join me Tuesdays at 9 a.m. where I offer support to families struggling with addiction. Hear personal stories, learn the signs of addiction, and get help for your loved ones. Only on In It Together with Lynn Greene.
Welcome back to In It Together, kicking off. Actually, we're in the midst of the good life this morning. And, you know, we said before, and we say it every week, the good life isn't about making a living. It's about making the life that you were created to live. And so this morning, talking about discovering your creativity, I really do look forward to engaging you. If you're on the live stream and internet radio, you can even give us a call at 603-384-3535. Boy, I have to remember all that stuff. So that's part of creativity, too, is being able to remember things. So I was starting to tell you about how I started radio and how I made it my own. To me, that's what creativity is about. It's making it your own, living fully alive, being who you are, not compromising that, doing it your way, not in a negative sense, but in a way that's like, I'm going to enjoy this journey. I'm going to enjoy it so that not only am I going to accomplish something great, but I'm going to love how I got there. And that's kind of been my ride, as long as I'm thinking right. There have been times where I've stifled my own creativity by majoring on minor things, by focusing on problems rather than possibilities. And I think that's what we're talking about when we think about creativity. It comes down to, what am I trying to do and what are all my options? And I think it's important to try to look at all your options, not in a way that slows you down to a point where it paralyzes you, which is, some people do that as a kind of an excuse to procrastinate. I'm not promoting that at all. But so in radio, like I was saying, I had regular radio on a call number that you could hear in the car and stuff. And then I was on internet radio, and both of those were extremely different ways of approaching broadcasting. So I took pieces from both of those when I created In It Together, and there were some definite things. I'm not doing that. I don't like how that works. To me, some of it, the focus of some of those other ones was all about monetizing and everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really my whole focus. For me, the biggest thing is it going to be encouraging? Is it going to be something that I'm going to be able to share, where someone's going to take a nugget or some nuggets from each program, and it's going to make you think. It's going to make you think. It's going to make you believe better about your life, about what you can do. It's going to make you maybe even have some more faith than you have now. My goal is to help you move forward and come a little bit higher and move a little bit further than you were yesterday. And so when I was doing radio, some of the things that I cut out were, there was on the radio station, there was a production person. All I would have to do is sit there in front of a microphone, and I did none of the other stuff. Of course, now I run the thing pretty much myself, although I do have somebody now that's helping with my camera, one of my new tech guys, who's a real blessing to me. And that was part of the vision, too, was to be able to focus more on what I'm trying to say to you than trying to figure out all this stuff. I've tried to teach people what I'm doing so that I could focus more on this. I think I've had one person who can kind of do one part of it. But it hasn't been an easy road to find somebody to do that. So what happens is you just learn to adjust and adapt it the way that it fits you. And so for me, if someone were to come in and say, hey, look, we're going to just do this all different, here you go, and sit me in front of the computer and expect me to do it without really understanding it or without having any say in it. And I'm saying this because this is really important too. When you're discovering your own creativity, your unique creativity in the way that you want to accomplish something, you have to protect that. because people will come in and try to push their agendas and ideas on you, and that can really hinder your ability to be creative, and you can have some regrets. I've had some of those regrets where I've had trusting someone else to help with something, but then they're not asking me how I feel about it or what my input is, or telling me the options so that I can choose the way I want to go. They're just, like I was saying before, do it this way, or you're stupid. and I don't really like that too much, and you probably don't either. All right, so the Word of God tells us that all creation shows God's glory, and we were created in His likeness and image to bring glory to God. And how do we do that? Is by tapping into our creativity, which is tapping into the mind of God, the heart of God, the Word of God, His, how He would see something. He's limitless. He doesn't see limits on anything. He believed, and he knew when he thought something that he could speak it into being. And I think that's part of it too. If we want to see the fullness of that creativity take place, we first connect to the source of all creativity by taking off the hindrances and looking at what's possible. And then we begin to agree with that. And when I mean by agreeing with that is, we don't want to have this inner turmoil with, yeah, I want this or I want that, double-mindedness. The Word talks about a double-minded man's unstable in all his ways, and let him not think he'll receive anything from God. Now, the creativity that we flow in is a gift from God, and it's there to help us. He gives us grace in the way that He's designed us and what He's asked us to do. But if we're trying to do something that isn't who we are and isn't what He asked us to do, it will be hard. It will be hard. The Word tells us the way of a transgressor is hard. But He also tells us in Matthew that, He wants us to live freely and lightly, that His yoke is easy and His burden is light. So this is a really big indicator on how we know, are we in our lane? We've heard that before. Just stay in your own lane. Are we in our own lane? Let's see. I got a comment here I want to look at. Someone says we have to do things in a way that fits in with our talents, our personality, or they don't come out right. Well, that's true. That's true. And also, when I was saying earlier, is that you may accomplish something, but you won't feel good about it. And it's really important to have both. All right. Excuse me. So I'm looking at, we have inexhaustible resources. We have inexhaustible, limitless possibilities in anything we want to do. And let me give you an example that we can probably all relate to right now. Look at technology. Okay, if we look back specifically at the telephone, Alexander Graham Bell was credited with that invention, which, by the way, wasn't all his idea. What he did was what I was describing before, as far as my radio show, where I took pieces of this over here that I liked, pieces of this over here that I like, and then I created something completely new with my fingerprint on it. And so that's what I'm talking about. So when we look at technology, a lot of people think Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone. Well, he was credited to it because he got the patent. But there were a lot of, there are no self-made people. He had seen other things that sparked his creativity to begin to think, well, if you can do this, then maybe you can also do this. But can you see how this one person could have said that and never did anything with it? But Alexander Graham Bell did, and the other people had ideas, but they didn't go that far. Today we get to have so many things because of his invention, his innovation, his creativity. But there were several contributors to that, and it's the same thing for our life. There are several contributors. I have a lot of people who are into personal development and stuff, and I look at that from I look at that a little bit different than some of the gurus do. I believe that I'm discovering how God made me, and my personal development is based off of what He would say about me and what He tells me And, that's not hokey and weird, but what his word says is true about me. And so some people are like, just, grab it and blab it, or, if you just work hard enough and all these things. And I believe that some of those things are part of it. But there's a natural flow, I believe, when you connect with authentically with who you are and what those creative things are in your life, that just flows out. So Alexander Graham Bell was credited with the phone, but then we see now we have these devices, right? We have these devices. Look, I'm going to show you me. We have devices, and every year there's a new phone coming out. Now, are they starting over from scratch? No, they're building off of what they already know. And so that's what creativity is. It's building off what you know and adopt. So it's like you can know about things, but do you adopt them, make them your own, and own that, right? It takes that out-of-the-box thinking. And, I just want to give you a couple of quotes here that I was reading also. Albert Einstein said, "Your imagination is your preview of life's coming attractions." I love that. And that's true. Think about every movie you've ever seen or show. Somebody had to envision how that story was going to go. So we can see creativity in art and storytelling and things like that. But guess what? Your life is a story, and you get to write the ending. And so the creativity of that is going to come from what you can imagine is possible. Back in the 1950s, I don't know if you've ever heard of the author Napoleon Hill. I think he wrote Think and Grow Rich, but I'm not positive. But anyway, he said the imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by man. That is true, but that is true in a sense. But I always say that we are an extension, and again, created in the image and likeness of God. We are an extension of who He is, and all things that are made visible. Somebody imagined this table that in front of me. Someone imagined this microphone. I mean, if you look back in history at the different microphones there used to be, and now we look at the ones that are out today. I mean, I have a little lavalier lapel microphone now that's just as good as some of these other ones. Things can look a different way, and it's just creativity. Televisions, look at the technology of televisions. We used to have the tube TVs and the big ears and all that stuff, and now we can watch it from our phone. I was just telling someone last night, I can go home with my phone and I can look through on an app at all of my surveillance cameras throughout this building. I mean, that's just, the cable, the internet that we're using right now, all probably from the phone, the whole phone idea. So one idea leads to another idea, leads to another idea. And it comes to, in how this works, and this is biblical, is when we meditate on what's possible, it begins to grow. And I say thoughts are like seeds where when you plant it, you can't make it grow. It grows in its time. But when you water it and you meditate on it and you think about it, it automatically begins to grow. So when you're getting into creativity, that's what happens. And then if you look at an apple seed and you do that, if you look at just the apple seed and you don't meditate on it past that, it'll always be an apple seed. But if you look at it and you see an orchard, then you got something else. All right. So I am out of time this morning, but I thank you for tuning in, and I hope this was encouraging and inspired you today. As a matter of fact, even after, if you watch this show, make comments about how this inspired you, how this helped you. Give me feedback, and even if there's other topics you want me to cover, and I will certainly respond to you, and we'll talk about it later. All right, but that concludes today's show, and tomorrow, if you want to join us, Jen Lever will be here for Recovery Now to help your loved ones dealing with addiction, and again, in a positive way. So have a blessed day, and remember, we are in it together.